because I didn't record, I'm going to say it one more time just for the camera. Today is Vrindavan Das Thakur's appearance day, and he's considered to be the Vyasadeva of Lord Chaitanya's pastime. So there's no more auspicious day than to kick off this ISKCON Krishna West Center for Bhagavad Studies Bhakti Shastri program on this day. So we'll do a little kirtan for 5 minutes, 5 minutes. I'll mute you all, and then so that there's no disconnect in terms of timing of the kirtan. And so and then in about 3-4 minutes we'll introduce each other, and I'll ask everybody to just introduce themselves briefly and to tell everyone what they expect from this course, maybe why they're taking it and what do they expect. It's kind of like the same answer. So I'll mute you all. Don't unmute yourself, and we'll just do a 5-minute kirtan.
To finally, very happy to finally touch base with you all. So as you can hear, English is not my mother tongue, but in case you feel uneasy, just feel free to interrupt me in case you don't understand me. So basically, I joined in 85 in France here. I live in France now. I just joined at the junction of this great ordeal in ISKCON, chaotic situation. 86 was practically ISKCON kind of fell apart. 3 big gurus fell down in that year, but I survived. I was not initiated by one of them, so I was lucky enough to be spared. But yet I was one of the big guru here, was very instrumental in having me join ISKCON. So I'm still today very grateful to him. So for the first 10 years, I was heavily involved in book distribution in France. And after that, I got also involved in the saving of New Mayapur. I live very close to New Mayapur, which is a huge property here, ISKCON community. It's been alive since 74. And unfortunately, we lost the property back in 86 or so. It was mortgaged, and it got auctioned off it was auctioned off.
Oops. Sorry. Shoot. Sorry. Wait, I'm so sorry. You have to unmute yourself. Sorry, I muted everyone because then you could hear you better, but I think now you're good. Madhavendra, can you speak? Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So what happened exactly? Should I start from scratch?
No. Just about New Mayapur. You were saving New Mayapur, and
okay. So basically, I'm writing a book on this from 86 to 92. We saved, by Lord Krishna's grace, we saved New Mayapur. Bhakti Charu Maharaj was extremely instrumental in doing so, and I was part of that team. Then 95, I moved to Mauritius. ISKCON is there also in Mauritius Island. I was there for a couple of years. Actually, to echo with what Chandra Prabhu says, in 93, we had this small center in Paris, and this is about the time we joined. Then 95, Mauritius, couple of years. Then 97, I moved to Mayapur, India, bought a flat there. Then my guru engaged me a lot in those days. He was doing Abhaycharan. He was doing a TV serial on the lifetime of Srila Prabhupada. So he produced many episodes of this lifelong life of Srila Prabhupada. And then we had to basically go around the world and sell those videos everywhere. Then 90, I'm trying to remember in sequence, it's not easy. 99, we opened a business in America, actually in North Carolina, in Durham, North Carolina. Divine Food with other Guru Bhais, other God brothers. Then for a couple of years, 2-3 years, then back to India. And I got heavily involved into education, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vibhav, TTCs, teachers training course. And voilà, for the last 20 years, I've been teaching in India, in France, in South Africa. And now I live in France for the last 11 years or so. We're back here since 2009. I'm married and I've got a son, 6-year-old son. I'm a late father. And basically, I just turned 62 yesterday. That's all. Hare Krishna.
Ooh, happy birthday.
So, and I'm very happy to finally touch base with you. It's a big group, so I'm very happy, very impressed by the recruiting effort of Chandra.
Okay, great, Madhavendra Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
I came to Krishna consciousness in 1993 and 1995. I mean, no, 1993. I took initiation in 1995 and 97 in New Mayapur, and then in Los Angeles. Sorry, I have this cool camera that I'm proud of. And I was a brahmachari in the Los Angeles temple for about 4 or 5 years, distributed a lot of Prabhupada's books and read. That's where I first kind of came in contact with reading Prabhupada's books and being inspired by Prabhupada's books. And that's where I developed, I guess, a small taste for continuing to read Prabhupada's books and to hear Prabhupada's books. So I owe a lot of gratitude to those devotees there who inspired me to do so. And I got involved in different other services throughout my years in ISKCON. Got a degree, 2 degrees in religious studies, and got involved in the Krishna West project. And if you'll excuse me, I'm just going to put up the camera a little bit higher. Should be good. Right. And just fast forward to, a couple of years or a year or two ago, there's been this Krishna, I'm not going to talk much about Krishna West. You probably know what it is. It's sort of what we want it to be, an order of ISKCON, a project that was started by Hridayananda Goswami as a sort of as an effort to focus on, reaching out to a local Western audience in the Western world. And so I really, at the time when that project began, I was studying religious studies at University of California, and I really connected with that idea, having seen how so many other churches have very specific, projects and ministries, and ministries that are very focalized on a specific target audience. I mean, right? You could like take a course on how to run a ministry, for Vietnam, immigrants in the Orange County region of Greater Los Angeles from the age of 19 to 26. I mean, it gets that narrow, in the world of religion today. So given that in America you have this wonderful participation of a lot of people from an Indian background, you also have a desire to see more local participation. So it's in that mode, I would claim, that Hridayananda Maharaj felt like, to start a project that would be within ISKCON from the get-go, that would really specifically target a local Asian American, a local African American, a local Caucasian, a local Latino, a local, Indian born in America congregation specifically, and of course, having open doors to everybody. And there was a little bit of pushback from different sectors of ISKCON. And then just about, a year ago, Madhavendra Prabhu and I, we started teaching Bhakti Shastri in French. We started teaching it. We're almost done with the whole, thing that you guys are going to go through.
Well, halfway through, more or less.
Well, I wanted to impress everybody and make it look like it goes faster than it did, because we're a little bit slow on the French module, but on the French one. Yeah. So the idea came up. Well, I don't know how the idea came up, but I thought, you know what? Why don't we try to make Krishna West a center of examination of ISKCON? And in that way, that would serve 2 purposes. One, we could teach Bhakti Shastri in English. And after all, I was born in the States. I speak fluent English. I learned Prabhupada's books in English. It's really fun to read and teach them in English, because that's, and even then there's issues of, Prabhupada's books changes, 1972 edition versus the, so what to speak of in other languages. And then I figured also, well, why don't we, if Krishna West can become an authorized center of examination for ISKCON, then it kind of cements the future of ISKCON as an official order of, Krishna West as an official center as an official order of ISKCON for posterity. Because how can, a project grant official certified, which is what you guys are going to get, an official ISKCON, degree if you're not part of ISKCON, right? So we applied, and lo and behold, there was zero pushback. It couldn't have been smoother than a knife through hot butter. Literally, it was just like we applied, and a couple of weeks later, welcome, you guys are an official center of examination. So that's the story behind that and behind this project. And so the course is because devotees have asked, like, well, what's the curriculum and how is it different from the standard Bhakti Shastri of ISKCON? And it's not. It really isn't. Of course, each professor brings his or her own sauce to the mix, and that's normal and that's welcome. During the module of the Bhagavad Gita, we'll use Hriday Nanamara's really brilliant Bhagavad Gita study guide with literal translation that he used. During the Nectar of Devotion, we may use a book called the Waves of Devotion. But overall, you're getting a standard, run-of-the-mill Bhakti Shastri degree where there's 4 modules. We start with the Śri Isopanishad, then we go to the Bhagavad Gita, then we'll go to the Nectar of Devotion, and we'll finish with the Nectar of Instruction. It'll take about a year and a half. Urmila, Prabhi, I like to say Prabhi because, the whole issue of Mataji, whether Prabhu or Prabhi. So anyway, Urmila in North Carolina, in New Goloka, she teaches a course that takes about a year. But the thing is, she has 3 hours a week. So it's a third of the time shorter, but it's also it's also 1/3 longer in terms of mandatory one-on-one meetings. So it turns out to be the same. So a year and a half is what you should expect. And what's expected of you is, in a way, pretty difficult, and in a way also pretty simple. It's difficult in the sense that you have to be there every Sunday, for 2 hours of live interaction ideally with your camera on and ready to either read or to answer questions in an interactive mode. And that takes discipline. And we allow 5, excused absences, after which, your grades start getting a little bit affected. But I don't want you guys to think, oh my God, it's going to be so hard. Ultimately, this is an insider degree. It's an insider course, which revolves around, hearing and chanting about Krishna, so that we can be inspired to chant Hare Krishna. Nothing more, nothing less. That's the essence, right? Now, if you can get a degree along the way by just doing the bare minimum, or more if you want, of what's required to get a degree by learning, certain verses and answering questions. So every week you get a batch of questions, which honestly, I think I could answer with in a half hour, easy. There's not much reading material, answers to have ready, but they're expected to be good. And you send them a day before to the professor. You have 4 or 5 days to answer them. And then, we go over those questions during the class. And so, you spend a year and a half of really getting to read, to, like Prabhupada said, if you want to know me, read my book. So you'll get to know Prabhupada by reading his purports. And you also get to know Krishna by reading his own words in the Gita and reading the words of the Bhagavatam, which is considered to be Krishna himself, right? You'll get to know Rupa Goswami and in his 2 cardinal books. And at the end, not only will you come out having had a deep absorption, a weekly absorption in Shastra, but most probably you'll also have a diploma, and that diploma is very useful, especially if you're in the mode of reaching out to others and doing some type of ministry work and teaching, Krishna consciousness preaching, if you want to use that word. Having, someone who represents Krishna and who also has not only, pure lifestyle and realizations, but an official degree from an accredited, religious institution, that's all the more impressive, accolades to get others to take interest in Krishna consciousness also, right? So you have this double result in this endeavor. The price of the course is $450. We kind of we aligned ourselves with current prices of the course taught by other online groups, such as the one from Urmila in North Carolina. It's payable in 6 months. If there's some really difficult situations, you could pay it over longer than 6 months. Some of that money will go to free book distribute, free Bhagavad Gitas, free copies of the Bhagavad Gita in French, because well, that's where I kind of want to give a lot of Bhagavad Gitas, or in other languages. And I think I've gone over the whole thing. So we'll take turns now. We'll go from well, I spoke, so you can go to Jyotirmayi, then Jacob, then Ariana, then Vignesh, then Sorel, then Yadavi, Bhaktya Anudas, Prabhu, Karunamayi, Karuna Kishori, Raina Ria, I guess. Let me unmute all of you, and then Golokanandapriya and Anantavallabha Prabhu and Sukumari, and then just a few sentences, basically when you came to Krishna consciousness, or under what circumstances, and what do you expect to get out of the course? Where you come from, so that everybody else can get to know each other, because we'll be together for a whole year and a half. So let me ask you all to unmute yourself, and actually what you can do is, let's just keep everybody muted, and just because we'll have better sound. Maybe Jyotirmayi, you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself to us. It's not working? Strange. Okay. Then I guess I have to hold on. Here we go. Oh, we still don't hear you. I think you have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Cool.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
good.
we can hear
Hare
you.
Krishna, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity. Nice being here. And my initiated name, as you see, it's Jyotirmayi. My normal name is Joanna. I'm Greek, okay, but I live in Italy since 27 years now. Okay, I came here to study and I stayed here. I got to know Krishna 3 years ago, and it was like a stroke, I totally fell in love with him. I found my spiritual master, who is Kadamakarana Swami, quite immediately. And last June, I got my first initiation, okay? So I live here in Italy. I do a lot of, well, I'm taking this course because I love reading. I like getting in contact with books. Books always have talked to me, okay? I like listening to people talking, like classes and everything. But if I want to learn something, I have the book with me with a pencil, and I'm staring there with me and the book, and it talks to me and understand what it says. I take this course and I chose this course for many reasons. Firstly, the opportunity to have it online, which is very useful for me since I have a normal job, like I work in an office during the week. So having this kind of time lap is very comfortable, because I can study during the week, the time that I have, and during this Saturday and Sunday. I know that Sunday for 2 hours I will be busy, but it's not a problem. And it's going to be very useful for me, also for my service, because I'm not only doing service for my Guru Maharaj, I'm not only doing service for the center of Dasi Prabhu here in Bologna in Italy, where I live and work, But secondly, I am engaged in translating the Bhagavad Gita in Greek. So since I'm Greek, it's my native language. I speak 4 languages. Okay, that's Greek, Italian, English, and French. So getting to know better what are we talking about, it's also going to help me to do that service in a kind way. And I chose also you, meaning this you and the other Prabhu, instead of the normal Bhakti Vedanta, Radhadesh. Here in Italy, there's another one, there is Mayapur, there's whatever around the world. Because you seem to me more updated. I'm totally honest. The way to communicate, what you communicated this course to me was very up-to-date language and an up-to-date mood to do it. The other one that I have approached before, because this is the not Bhakti Shastri course that I have been interested in, if I would like to do it or not. Seemed to me like it was pulled back in 15 years ago with that kind of language, with that kind of dialogue, with that kind of modality, which is not what I actually am in, since I'm a very fresh devotee and I have been living in the outside world for 44 years before getting to know Krishna. I like someone who can understand me and talk to me in the way that I actually am. That's all for me. Thanks a lot.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Jacob G, in essence. Oh, I gotta ask him to unmute.
Hare Krishna, my obeisances to the assembled devotees. Thank you, Madhavendra Puri, Prabhu, and Chandrasekhar Acharya Das for putting on this Bhakti Shastri course. My name is Jacob, and I'm here in Tucson, Arizona, in the United States. Pretty new to Bhakti in general. We have a restaurant here in town, Govinda's restaurant, and I started coming around to programs and the restaurant around 2017. So that's actually why I'm interested in taking this course, is because I'd like to further my understanding of Krishna consciousness and the philosophy in general. And I'm really attracted to the Krishna West preaching strategy, as well as Hridayananda Das Goswami's way of presenting Krishna consciousness. And I'd also just like to be able to spread this knowledge. You know, I feel like it's not good to get a gift and not pay it forward in some way. And eventually I'd like to seek initiation as well. And so that's something that I feel this course will help me be more prepared for. And as far as Prabhupada's books, a lot of my understanding of the philosophy comes from lectures and also from just talks and classes and in-person classes. And so I'd like to further my understanding of Prabhupada's books by diving deeper into them with this course.
Beautiful, thank you.
No problem.
Ariana.
Hare Krishna. My name is Ariana. I am currently a student at the University of Florida, and that's how I found Krishna, is through the devotees and Krishna lunch. So I'm really new. This was just in 2019. And I really am attracted to this study because I am a student. And so I think that the timeline of it is really nice for me to be able to really dive deep, but in a way that also helps me balance with my other studies. And I guess what I expect from the course is hopefully nice, loving relationships with all you beautiful devotees as we ponder on Srila Prabhupada and his teachings, and hopefully a more balance between like realized knowledge from Guru in the heart, and also from external Guru in the form of Srila Prabhupada and his books and things like this.
Beautiful, thank you. And now we have Vignesh. Oh, I think I have to unmute, ask everybody to unmute. Okay. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. I basically hail from the city of Mumbai, India. Currently, I'm working as a workspace consultant. I have been a mechanical engineer by my academics. What has brought me over here is pure curiosity that I had had since my college days. I have been into about this entire process of Krishna consciousness movement since last 5 years. Although I have not given any commitment, but still I have been perceiving just out of my exploration to know a lot of stuff which I have understood, especially since last many years. I was from a science background, so I had some a lot of interest to know about the various things about the origin of universe and a lot of things stuffs out there. So somehow or other, I was as I was surfing to the various internet stuffs, I was fortunate enough to get into some pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and as I moved through the pages, I was really fascinated by the various depth and breadth of the knowledge that was contained in that particular books. So being a curious reader, I like to read books. So it was definitely a food for thought for me while I read the books of Srila Prabhupada. And as I invested more and more time, I got introduced into further details and the core concepts of the or philosophy. And this actually made me into more interested to know more about the philosophy in detail and have a more systematic approach to understand this philosophy in detail, and so that accordingly I can share this wisdom with others and all the interested seekers as well. So this is where I come from, and I would like to, I'm looking forward to for this particular course. Thank you.
Great, Vignesh. So next we have Sorel, I think from San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. No.
Okay, my dog is barking in the background. I apologize. And I'm from Tucson, Arizona as well, like Jacob. So
right.
I don't know if she'll stop, but I hope she does. So Hare Krishna. Let's see. I've only been practicing or like more seriously for probably a year and a half. And let's see, I am taking this because I feel like there's just so much I don't know. My first book that I read that was Krishna conscious was the Bhagavad Gita literal translation. And that was my like, yeah, exactly. So that, and he was the first speaker I ever heard too. And I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. And I loved it. And so I want to be able to foster even a relationship with Prabhupada and his texts and be able to actually feel confident and comfortable sharing it. Because like I said, there's just so much I don't know. And yeah, I apologize about that.
He's ecstatic about you. He's ecstatic about you being part of the Bhakti Shastri course. He's cheering you on. I think you muted yourself again. Something happened.
I muted myself because the dogs are barking. I didn't want to be rude. I'm so sorry. And yeah, I want to foster not only a deeper like understanding of the text, but as well of how to better share it. I'm a yoga teacher here. I teach yoga asana, and I've been really trying to figure out how to incorporate everything that I'm learning in like implementing it and interweaving it into what I'm teaching. And I work with kids a lot too, and how to like share that with them in a more subtle manner. But there's a lot that I don't understand in terms of the text because I haven't read a lot. So this, I think, will encourage me to take it a little bit more seriously and feel more comfortable with that. So yeah, that's why I'm doing this.
Great.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I cut you off. So now we have Yadavi. I asked to unmute you already twice. Okay, here we go.
Hare Krishna, everyone. It's really a pleasure to meet you all. And thank you, Chandrasekhar and Madhavendra Prabhu for putting together this course. It's, we've been very excited to have it in Krishna West. I'm Yadavi. I'm from Bulgaria, and I came to Krishna consciousness back in 2006, and I read the books, I studied the books, but I never got the degree. So what an amazing opportunity to get the degree from Krishna West. I've been serving Krishna West actively since 2015, different places, different projects, and it's been an ongoing progress and a very exciting project also that gave me a lot of I don't know, a lot of meaning in life. So I'm very excited to study together with you and to I don't know, share Krishna consciousness with you.
I'd like to add, Yadavi is like Krishna West has a council, kind of like the equivalent of a mini GBC within the little project. Just like I'm sure the Bhaktivedanta Institute has some sort of managerial structure, and so Yadavi is part of the council member. She's a council of Krishna, a council member of Krishna West.
Just to add on, here I'm not here to counsel anyone or anything. I'm here to study and to learn. But yeah, I'm also doing that as something that is needed to maintain the organization and to move it forward. But here I'm just to learn and to study.
Great, cool. Okay, Karunamayi.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me okay?
Everyone can, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Prabhus, thank you. It's wonderful to be in your association. I'm in Sri Mayapur as well as Karuna Kishori, I think. I moved here in March with my family. We've had a couple of major changes in the last few months. I joined in Vancouver, BC in 97, and then I moved to Sharanagati in BC as well. And that's where I've lived for about the last 12 years until we moved to Sri Mayapur. I received initiation from His Holiness Radhanath Swami in 2005. And so my reasons for wanting to take the course, I was giving it a lot of thought, and it's been 25 years since I've taken the Bhakti Shastri, and I was interested in getting involved with Karuna Care counseling, and I needed my Bhakti Shastri certificate, and we could not track it down. Not the devotee who gave the course, not the temple, the certificate was gone. And so I thought, well, I guess it's time to refresh. And I also really appreciate Chandrasekhar Prabhu's philosophy of preaching. I may not agree with everything because we're all individuals, but I truly appreciate his method of presenting Krishna to everybody. And also for personal reasons, in April, I contracted very severe COVID and I was in ICU for 12 days. And part of that is I sustained a little bit of cognitive damage, and part of the rehab is to study and read. And I thought, well, what a better opportunity than to dive into Shastra and be guided in the association of devotees. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. You already have your Bhakti. You have your degree. You took it 25 years ago.
Yes,
and
but it's ever fresh. Yes,
sure.
I don't have the paper because it's gone.
You took the exam and you passed and everything. You have the degree.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Cool.
But I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. But if you don't agree, completely with my views, you may have, some points taken off your.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm totally joking.
Noted.
Karuna Kishori.
Okay, Hare Krishna. My name is Karuna Kishori. I'm a disciple of His Holiness Indrajimna Swami. I've been living in Mayapur for the past almost 2 years now. I got stuck here, but I'm going back to South Africa, where I'm from, in about 2 weeks. And the reason for taking the course, I think it just came at the right time. I've sort of been avoiding Bhakti Shastri because I didn't want to do it all in one like short batch. So I like that it's spread out over some time. And I just basically ran out of excuses not to do it. I also am like a writer, or I'm trying to be a writer, and I find it really helps me to have deeper realizations if I read more. So I think in terms of being able to present Krishna consciousness nicely, to be able to give better classes and to write better articles, I think this will be very valuable.
Wonderful. Great. Well, thank you, Karuna Kishori. And now we have Golokanandapriya, I think from the East Coast of America, if I'm not mistaken.
And you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I know Chandrasekhar from North Carolina. When he was there with Bhakti Maharaj. So my name is Golokanandapriya.
You must remember Mandavendra also, no? Because he was there also.
Not so, maybe a little bit. So I remember, well, I joined ISKCON back in 1979 in Mauritius. I'm originally from Mauritius. So after that, I was initiated by two spiritual masters who left the movement. One left the body and one left the movement. I'm still around. Then after I joined, I just travel a lot. I went to South Africa to help the preaching there. Then after that, I passed to India for a few months. Then went to East Africa, Kenya, Mombasa, Uganda. So after that, I went to England. I went back to Mauritius, India, Italy. Then finally, I ended up in United States for the last almost 30 years here. So I live in North Carolina for almost 27, 28 years there. And I was managing and helping with the temple in the beginning and taking care of my family. And also I lost for 10 years, I just was helping with the management there. Then now my daughter, I stopped managing. Then I moved back to Philadelphia. My daughter lives here, so I'm staying with my daughter. I live very close to the Philadelphia temple and help with service there. I've been doing a lot of daily worship, a lot of Indian preaching, congregation preaching, and book distribution, and I did all kind of service in ISKCON. And I started Bhakti Shastri a few years back, but unfortunately I didn't complete it. And since now I'm kind of retiring mode, so I have more time. I wanted to take it from Vrindavan Institute there, but because of timing differences, and I heard Chandrasekhar Prabhu was telling that they're giving it here. So that's why I decided to join. So I always like to read. I've been reading Prabhupada books, but I never, now I want to really to study it, step by step and having clear, detailed understanding of Srila Prabhupada books. That's one of the reasons I wanted to take this Bhakti Shastri. So I hope I can finish it in 1.5 years. So we just need the blessing of everyone so we can continue and finish this course. Hare Krishna.
Jai Golokanandapriya. I think we missed Jeremiah. So we'll just go up one row up and ask Jeremiah to briefly tell us about his. And then we have 3 or 4 more, and then we'll just take a break, a 5-10 minute break, and then Madhavendra Puri Prabhu will give us an introduction to the Śri Isopanishad. And so, yeah, Jeremiah ji.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, the volume's a little low, but if you maybe got closer to wherever your mic is, it's maybe better.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Awesome. So yes, my name is Jeremiah. I first met the devotees in Costa Rica in 2018, and I slowly started chanting and then listening to the Gita. And in this way, a few years passed. And in the summer of 2020, I moved into the Temple of Orlando during Janmashtami, started chanting 16 rounds. And I was doing a lot of the service there. Time passed, Krishna house devotees came, started doing a lot of preaching. And things occurred. Now I'm in Houston as of now, trying to help establish another Krishna house here in Houston. And I'm very eager to take this Bhakti Shastri course. One, for acquiring better knowledge of Shastra. Two, for being able to present the knowledge of Shastra in a more bona fide manner. And then three, for my own selfish interest of having a better understanding of my own relationship with Prabhupada and Krishna.
That's, I don't know if that's materially selfish. It's definitely a spiritual. It looks like, you know, it's very much a spiritual desire. It's a healthy
totally
spiritual
spiritual.
desire. Okay, Ananta Vallabhaji. Thank you, Jeremiah. Ananta Vallabha is speaking to us from his. He's in a Sputnik, like in a space shuttle. He's around Saturn right now. As you can see, the oxygen masks behind him. Gets really hot there too, so there's a fan. He's in a traveling Sankirtan van.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Danda Pranam. All Gaisha Prabhupada. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to be in your association, Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, Chandrasekhar Acharya Prabhu. My parents, I grew up in Krishna consciousness. And I've been trying to tag along in Krishna consciousness, following my parents. And currently I'm in the Grand Canyon. We're doing book distribution over here with Ganapati Swami Maharaj in the visitor centers and everywhere for the past few days.
Offer him my obeisances, please.
For sure. Yeah. And the reason I want to take Bhakti Shastri is I'm aspiring to get second initiation from my spiritual master. And although it's a mandatory thing, but I still feel as a proper student, I want to get in a systematic study so that I can, come to that consciousness for receiving that mercy from my spiritual master. And I appreciate this course because as I also have done Bhakti Shastri. I started Bhakti Shastri a few times, probably 3 times, but I always found it very unsustainable with my schedule. But I'm grateful that this one has a very nice schedule, and I have a nice relationship with Chandrasekhar Acharya Prabhu. I have a personal relationship with a teacher, and just that gives me that safety net that, okay, I can complete this course in the next 1.5 years, hopefully. And so I'm very grateful to be in the association, and I pray to grow through this course. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananta Vallabha Prabhu. Raina Ria, I don't know how you pronounce your name, but you'll tell us.
Hey Krishna, it's so nice to meet all of you. My name is Raina Ria. I had first met the devotees about 5 years ago in Los Angeles. And that's when I first got the Bhagavad Gita. And it's been like a windy road since then. Now I'm in San Diego, California. I just moved here 4 days ago from New Vrindavan, West Virginia. And after living there for some time, I realized that I cannot get to know Srila Prabhupada or even Krishna without the association of devotees. And so, I'm here with my family, and I'm just really missing the devotees. And so I just want to take every opportunity to connect with all the devotees. And as I heard about this Bhakti Shastri course through an interview with Rasa, I just thought, wow, this is the perfect opportunity to, hear more of Srila Prabhupada's books and then get a better understanding, and just meet more devotees. I'm excited to get to know all of you more and hopefully meet all of you in person one day and serve with you, distribute more of Srila Prabhupada's books. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jyotirmaya already spoke. So we'll skip over Jyotirmayi, right? You, of course, you spoke. You were our first speaker. And we got Sukumari, who is masked.
Yes, I'm sorry. Can everybody hear me? I turned on the camera. It doesn't work.
Okay. Well, at least you have a good
It doesn't
sound.
work. I'm sorry. Yeah. Hi. My name is Sukumari. I'm from Germany. I joined in 2004. I have had a bit of a rough patch since 2012. So, well, I tried Bhakti Shastri too, like 3 times before, never really got to finish it. And since I now would like to try to get a bit more back to Krishna consciousness, and I can't manage to read or study Prabhupada's books alone, so I thought this course might help to get it done, so to say, so to speak. And yeah, that's all I would say in short.
Sounds good. Truth is, what is it? Eloquence is truth spoken concisely. I don't know if you guys know that term. That's actually Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He defines the word eloquence as truth spoken concisely. And our final, thank you. Our final student is Saradiya, Rasa, also from South Africa.
Hare Krishna, I hope you can hear me well. I'm still trying to set up my microphone.
Yeah, we don't hear you that great.
Okay, if you can just give me like 1 minute, I'll have my microphone ready.
Well, what we can do, you need some time?
Yeah, I'm trying to set up, but
So why don't we take a break? Let's take a between 5 and 10 minute break. We can come back in about maybe 7-8 minutes at 5 after, at least for Western time. In India, I guess it would be 35 after, and then we'll hear from Saradiya, and then we'll hear from Madhavendra Puri Prabhu. All right.
The time is for 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
Okay. Madhavendra Prabhu, all yours.
Hare Krishna. So, can you hear me?
Yep.
I cannot hear you actually. Is it normal?
Yeah, I mean, I muted everybody so that the quality, the sound quality is best.
And what if I ask some questions, then they will be unmuted?
Yeah, I can. When you just mentioned the name, we ask them to unmute, or actually, I'll have the option where you can ask to. Basically, you can unmute yourselves now, guys. You don't have to have me ask you.
So welcome. It's a great opportunity for all of us to again reconnect with Srila Prabhupada's books. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit materials with you all. So let's see if I can manage that. Partager. Yeah. Can you see?
No.
Wow.
You should be able to. My settings are such that you can share.
So can I share things?
You should be able to, yeah.
Okay. Partager.
Share screen, no? Partager l'écran.
Yeah, but nothing happens. Did you receive that graph? I gave it to Chandrasekhar. The graph on the Vedic tree. Did you receive that?
I received that, but you never told me to send it to everybody, so I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Are you frozen? I don't think, right? Madhavendra Prabhu's face is not even moving anymore. Sorry about that, Prabhus. That's the joy of being forced to do these things online. I think he disconnected himself. He'll probably come back on. Well, meanwhile, I can ask you, you can raise your hands, who, or speak, or whatever, who's read the Śri Isopanishad? Everybody, okay.
I
Hello?
kicked myself out, so I don't know what I did. So let me share again.
We don't see your video either, Prabhu.
And now can you see?
Nope. We don't see you. We don't see anything. We only hear you.
So what to do?
Well, if you're not able to make it work, maybe you just have to tell us, and the visuals will have to come for another time.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on? You can you see me now?
Nope. And maybe if I make you host, now you're the host, you should be able to share, although you should be able to share even without being the host. So how come we don't even see you, Prabhu?
I'm trying to understand that. Yeah, it doesn't work, Prabhu. I don't know what to do.
So may I suggest that you just speak to us, and we won't even see you, but we can just hear, which is what we're supposed to do anyway.
Yeah, but I wanted to share some material. It's quite amazing.
What to speak of the material? We can't even see you.
Yeah, true. Okay, so basically, as you know, the Vedic knowledge has got a huge gamut, very wide array. What are the two divisions of the Vedic knowledge, of the Vedic tree? You can please unmute yourself and try to answer. What are the two main divisions in the Vedic tree?
Shruti and Smriti.
Very good. Excellent. So
now you're back, Madhavendra.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, we see your face.
Okay, good.
Why don't you try sharing? If
Yeah,
I
I'm
may
going to try
suggest.
sharing now. I'm going to try sharing. Okay. Can you see?
Nope.
Wow, it's amazing. I'm sharing screen.
Nobody can see, right?
Can you see the tree, Vedic knowledge tree?
Nope.
No, okay.
Nobody can see it.
You can see it now?
Nobody can.
Wow, amazing. I have to take a course on, I guess, in Zoom. So Vedic knowledge, and there's two divisions, like this Prabhu mentioned, Shruti and Smriti. What are the differences between the two? What makes a text, a Vedic text, Shruti or Smriti? Anyone knows?
Shruti is hearing and Smriti is remembering.
Excellent. So Shruti means words that cannot be changed at all. It's coming from God himself. So whichever time of in the universe we're talking about, it cannot be changed. Whereas Smriti, like you say, Smaran, remembering, it's been composed by sages. So the wording may change, but they are also coming from Nirguna people, Nirgun, so they are beyond the modes. In that sense, they're also to be accepted as good as Smriti, as Shruti, sorry. But Smriti is not accepted at all by the Mayavadis. The Orthodoxy do not accept, unfortunately, Smriti. So Upanishad now, where do they fit? Do they fit in Shruti or Smriti?
Shruti.
Sorry?
In the Shrutis.
Yes, excellent, Prabhu. So if you look at the Shruti, these are the original main text of the Vedas. You have the Vedas, you have the Upavedas, and you have the Vedangas. This is Shruti. So the Upanishad, they fit into the Vedas. Originally, there was one Veda. Could be called Atharva Veda or Yajur Veda. There's some dissension on that issue. But there was one Veda, Atharva or Yajur, and then it got divided into 4. What are the 4 Vedas? There's 4 Vedas. Atharva.
Rig, Sama, Yajur, Antava.
Yes, very good. And within each Veda, you have 4 divisions: Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aryanakas, Upanishads. So in whichever Veda you're talking about, you will find those 4 divisions. So the Upanishads mark, Srila Prabhupada explained in 245 in Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads mark the beginning of the transcendental life. It's meant for the Jnana Kandis. You understand Jnana Kandis, Karma Kandis, Jnana Kandis, Upasana Kandas, and the Brahma Kandi, basically, they want to use the Vedas towards fruitive activity. They use the Vedic aphorisms, the Vedic understanding to fulfill their material desires, but in a Vedic way. So they are pious, but their concern is not so much to leave this world. Their concern is to enjoy in a pious manner within the frame of the material energy. And for that matter, they resort to the Vedas. So they are pious, but they are karma kandis. 96% of the practitioners on earth are more or less very fruitive in their approach towards spiritual life. All religions together, they are in that frame of mind. Whereas the Jnana Kandis, what's the difference with Jnana Kandis? Jnana Kandis means they are concerned to leave this material world. That is why they're not going to turn themselves towards Karma Kandis text. They are more concerned with Jnana Kandis. So in other words, they are extremely concerned with liberation. So oftentimes it's fortunately impersonal liberation. They want to merge. But their philosophy is more or less Brahman philosophy. And for that matter, they're going to use the Shruti Prasthana. Shruti Prasthana. The Vedas are also divided into 3 divisions: Smriti Prasthana, Shruti Prasthana. So the Vedas, basically the Upanishad belong to that section, and the Shruti section. So that's one concern we should remember. Now, in terms of what is the purpose, anyone know why specifically the Shri Isopanishad? Because originally there were thousands and thousands of Upanishads. So why particularly Srila Prabhupada translated and commented upon 2 Upanishads? Why those 2 in particular? Anyone knows?
You mean including the Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, excellent. Because Bhagavad Gita is quite an interesting category for Bhagavad Gita. It's a bit tricky question. Is Bhagavad Gita Shruti or Smriti?
It's Shruti in the sense that Krishna spoke it, but it's Smriti in the sense that it's inside the Mahabharata, which is written by Vyasadeva.
Excellent, Prabhu. What is your name? I have to get to know you all.
Ananta Vallabha Dasi.
Yeah, you are doing the book distribution. That's why you're so sharp. So you're right. Bhagavad Gita is both, actually. Excellent. So the Upanishads are extremely important because they are the purpose of the Vedanta Sutra, basically. Remember, if we talk about the Vedic knowledge, Vid Dhatu, all the Sanskrit comes from dhatus. It's called grammar. It's called verbal roots, as they're called dhatu. So vid dhatu. Vid means to know. So Veda means to know, the Vedic knowledge, to know. So basically, even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Benares, remember what he said when he met the Mayavadis, he said that the absolute truth is described in the Upanishad. And Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra means Vedanta Sutra. But we have to be able to understand the verses because they are quite terse. It's very terse when you look at Vedanta Sutra, when you look at the Upanishad, they're very concise forms. So why, again, particularly Srila Prabhupada translated those two, Gita-Upanishad and Śri Isopanishad. There used to be thousands of Upanishads. Then over time it got evaporated, dispersed, disappeared. Remember that it should Shabda Brahman. Originally, the Vedic sound is only oral. It's verbal. It's not written down. So can you imagine? Is there anyone who wrote the Vedas? Who wrote the Vedas?
Vyasadeva.
Actually, no. Look at Bhagavad Gita 15:15. What does Krishna say? 15. He says, I'm to be known by the Vedas, I'm the source of the Vedas, and I'm the one who compiled the Vedanta Sutra. But never does he say anywhere that he wrote the Vedas. Brihad Ayanaka Upanishad explained the Vedas emanate from the breathing of God. So even God himself didn't create the Vedas. It's Apurushaya. It's Anadi, just like Krishna is Anadi, the Vedas are Anadi.
Can you tell us what Anadi means?
Anadi means beginningless. There's no beginning. So Vyasadeva, you're right, Prabhu, who mentioned Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva, what does he do? What is the job of Vyasadeva? At the end of each Dwapara Yuga, what does he do? Since he doesn't write the Vedas, what does he do then?
He systemized the Vedas and divided them into sections that we study now.
Excellent. Very good, Bataji. Just like the example is given, if I throw millions of coins in a room, they are in disarray. They are thrown about in disarray. So now if you compile, and to compile is different from to write something. To compile means to arrange. So just like you all orderly pile up the different coins, $1, 50 cents, etc. So in the same way, that's the job of Vyasadeva. He compiles, he organizes the Vedas, but he doesn't write. But yet, we have to give to his credit, he wrote 2 books, which are extremely important. He penned 2 books out of his hand. What are those 2 books?
Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam.
Wow, we have pundits here. So, who is speaking?
Devi.
Okay, you are quite, it's a good answer. So definitely, the Vedas, we have to remember this point, it's Anadi, it's coming from the breathing of God himself. Upanishad, there used to be thousands, came down to 108, most important Upanishad. Then within 108, we can still narrow it down. How many are extremely important amongst the 108? 11. If you look at Srila Prabhupada's books, oftentimes that doesn't he quote from Upanishad? Shvetavata Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad. There's 11. And amongst the 11, the most important is Śri Isopanishad. So why particularly the Śri Isopanishad? Why not another one from the 11? Any idea?
Prabhu, this Upanishad basically gives us the transition from the impersonal to the personal aspect of the Lord. That is one of the things
Yes.
what I've read.
Yes, that's a good, very good hint. Thank you for that. it is a fact that oftentimes the Upanishads have a somewhat impersonal slant to it. We cannot deny. But to be an exception, the Shri Upanishad is very clearly presenting the absolute truth as the supreme personality of Godhead. That is why Srila Prabhupada unequivocally he picked up this Upanishad. And the process is delineated very clearly how to approach God, according to Shri Upanishad, bhakti, devotional service. So in that sense, it echoes with the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. By the way, what is the meaning of Upanishad? We can break it down, this term, Upanishad. What does it stand for? I mean, in terms of etymology, Upa. Upa means near. Upa. Upa Vedas. Upa. Then ni. Ni means certainly. Upa, ni. Sad. Sad. Destroy. Destroy what? Destroy ignorance, tamaguna. Attain the Lord and loosening the bondage. Upanishad means, and in Bhagavatam 12.641 is mentioned as secret. Upanishad can also mean secret. So Upanishad means basically the knowledge that brings you one nearer to the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. So definitely it marks the beginning of transcendental life. That is why the Gyanis, they want to get free from this world. They turn to the Upanishad. They have a different aim than the Karma Kandis. Their goal is to get out, to leave. Okay, is that any questions? Is it clear? If you have any question, this is a good time to speak. So now I will give you an analogy. I hope it will help you to...
Prabhuji?
Yes?
Prabhuji, I'm sorry. I didn't catch the entire reason why Srila Prabhupada chose Śri Isopanishad. I missed at least one.
Yeah. Okay, so because it's got a very strong slant on bhakti as a process, abhidheya, and the goal of Śri Isopanishad, you may be familiar with the book, is to approach the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Of course, it's not defined as Krishna per se as yet, but it's defined as Purush, Ishvar, means the supreme controller, the supreme enjoyer. So this is by far the most theistic Upanishad. And it's very concise. That is why Srila Prabhupada, very early in his canon, when did Srila Prabhupada release the Upanishad, the Śri Isopanishad? Any idea? Very early, in 1970, actually even way before ISKCON, when you look at the Back to Garden of Srila Prabhupada in the 50s, in 1960, I believe, that's the time he published the Gita Upanishad, the Śri Isopanishad, in the Back to Garden in 1960, even before ISKCON. He was very concerned by this literature. And Brahmananda Prabhu told me personally, this is the first book in ISKCON, it was published in 1970, first book in ISKCON that came out with the Sanskrit word-to-word verses and purport. That was the first exemplary of such a presentation. Okay? So feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions. We are on the same boat. Okay, so now I will finish off with an analogy. So again, bear in mind, Vedas, there's many divisions to Vedas, Shruti, Smriti, then you find Shruti Prashtan, Smriti Prashtan, and Prashtan Traya. So Vedic knowledge is to be accepted through Shruti. Shruti means to hear, Shabda Brahman. It's a transcendental sound. Even in the Bible, you find the same aphorism. Beginning was the verb, beginning was the sound, which is very true. So to be accepted through Shruti, then should be understood through Nyaya. Nyaya means what? Logic. It's complicated in one sense, so it has to be understood through logic. And it should be remembered in all circumstances through Smriti. So if you compare the Vedas to a vast array of principles, of values, or laws, and we could say basically the law books are the Dharma Shastra, the Vedangas. If you look at the Vedic tree, I will forward it to you. All the law books, all the laws of the Vedas are compiled in the Dharma Shastra, Vedangas. And the Upanishad, what do? They contain the principles, the values. I'll give you an example. A principle is we have to eat. We cannot live without eating. That's a fact. Wherever you are in the universe, you have to eat something to maintain your life. So, in other words, eat, but what is the value behind eating? We must eat a particular type of food. That's the value. Principle is to eat, okay, but what is the value? Value may differ for health consideration, for strength, for taste, for civilized considerations. We are veg in ISKCON, we are veg, we offer the food to God. So we have a particular values in terms of food. So in the same way, the Upanishad, they mark the principles and the values. In other words, the why behind the laws. The laws are Dharma Shastra, Vedangas. But why to follow? The Upanishad will mark that, the whys behind. Okay, so, and one form of proof is logic. It's a very strong approach. Even Mahaprabhu, as you remember, was extremely expert in logic. In Navadvip used to be the center of learning based on Nyaya, logic. We can get knowledge by logic, by arguments, by philosophical research, and that's the purpose of the Upanishad. And again, the Mayavadis, remember, they only accept Nyaya Prashtan and Shruti Prashtan. They don't accept Smriti. For instance, if you speak to a Mayavadi in India, I lived 12 years in India. I met many Mayavadis on the train, for instance. You quote from Bhagavatam, they say, sorry, sir, I don't accept. So that is why all the books of the Goswamis, look at Nectar of Devotion, look at even Srila Prabhupada, when he wrote Śri Isopanishad in the 60s, he quotes tremendously from other Upanishads because he wants to ascertain that, yes, this book is valid on the basis of Smriti, of Shruti Prashtan and Nyaya Prashtan, because that's the orthodoxy will accept only that. That is why these books are important. That is why Srila Prabhupada quotes a lot from the Upanishad in his purports. So I'm coming to the analogy. If we say the Veda is an instruction booklet, just like you buy a TV, there's a manual to it. So in the same way, we fell down in this material world. There should be a manual how to function in this material world. And the manual is the Vedas, basically. How to maintain the world, how to live by, how to get by, how to understand our position. But what is the purpose? What is the purpose? Is it to remain in this world? What is the purpose of the Upanishad? I just mentioned. Is the Upanishad going to maintain your existence in this world? What is the purpose? I mentioned Upanishad is for the Jnana Kandis. They want to leave. So the purpose of the Upanishad is to quit this world. Whereas, again, the Kama Kandis, part of the section of the Vedas, is to remain in this world. What does Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 15.3, talking about the banyan tree, remember? It describes the Vedic tree also, Shri Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita. What does he say? What is this? He explained the Vedic tree, the hymns, it's based on desire. The Vedic tree is a reflection of the original tree, and it reflects because there's a desire. That's the water. If there's no water, there's no desire. So if there is no water, there is no reflection. If there is no reflection, there is no desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. So Krishna says to Arjuna in 15.3, Asango Shastrena Dridana Chidva. You have to cut this tree, Arjuna, by the weapon of detachment. So the Upanishad, that is why Srila Prabhupada was so keen on revealing Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and Shri Isho. He wants to help us to leave this world. So that's the purpose of the Upanishad, in all, whichever. But again, look at Bhagavad Gita, 245. What does Krishna say is 245? Tregunya Vishaya Veda Nistregunya Bhava Arjuna. What does it mean? Please, Arjuna, forget the Vedas. Why? Why does it say that in the Bhagavad Gita? Very early. Go beyond the Vedas. Why does it say that? I cannot hear you. Oh, you speak so much.
The flowery language of the Vedas is confusing.
Yes, and the goal of the Vedas, again and again, is to remain practically 96% of the Vedas is meant for karma countries. They want to settle themselves in this material world, in this cocoon, of the material world, in the name of the Vedas, by following scrupulously the Vedas. But they have an axe to grind. They want to, in other words, make their sojourn done here more comfortable in the name of the Vedas, which is not the purpose. So Krishna very early, 245, Arjuna, Nistregunya Bhava Arjuna, Nirvanvanitya Sarvasto, go beyond. Why? Because the Vedas only deal with the three modes of nature. And again, 15.3, I want you to cut this tree. I want you by the weapon of detachment. So now we're coming to the analogy. Just like a fire extinguisher, it's maintained by periodic checking, by keeping in a prominent place, by making sure the instructions on the bottle are legible by everyone. And it's even given to in custody to some building custodian or some fire inspector, But again, if you don't know what it is, if you don't know what is a fire extinguisher, then why do you think it's going to be for you? You don't know the purpose of a fire extinguisher. You may think, well, it's an object d'art. It's a beautiful object d'art. You haven't seen what it is really for. That's esoteric to you. So in the same way, we may think the material world is for enjoyment because we haven't understood the purpose behind it. It's a nice place to enjoy, to try to enjoy at least. Just like a fire extinguisher, for laymen, it's a funny piece of decoration. You are misled by the object. But actually, what is the real purpose of the fire extinguisher is to save your life. So in the same way, the Dharma Shastra, many Shastras, the Vedangas in the Vedas, they are meant to maintain your life comfortably numb, like the Pink Floyd used to sing. we become comfortably numb sometimes following the Vedas. So they are meant for that. And there's a big portion of people, they're attracted by the Vedas for this purpose. They want to Vedically, religiously enjoy the world in a pious manner. But then when there is emergency, the fire is in the house, what do? Do you remain in the house? Then it's emergency mode. What do you do now? You find another category of people, the Gyanis. They're going to resort to the Upanishad. Understand? So in the same way, just like Vedas, they have two double function, two modes, Nivritti, Pravritti. Nivritti, Pravritti. What does it mean? Nivritti, Pravritti. Anyone? Krishna mentioned that in the Gita. Nivritti Pravriti Marg. There's two approaches within the Vedas. Pravriti, again, it's a synonym of Karmakanda. Pravriti means you're going to resort to the Vedas to better enjoy in a Vedic way your sojourn in this material world. Pravriti Marg, it's a long haul. You end up being a Vaishya, then you take birth again, you become a Kshatriya, then again you become a Brahmin. You know, it's a long detour. It's a long detour. You are Vedic, no doubt, but you are taking the long haul, the long detour. Nivriti, that's our path. Srila Prabhupada was pushing Nivriti Marg all along, Srimad Bhagavatam, Upanishad. It's a short range. We're taking the elevator, the lift. We want to leave this world. So back to the analogy. There's a fire, emergency use. You're going to take the fire extinguisher. The whole building is burning. So you have to clear an exit through the flames. And to clear an exit through the flames, you need a strong, powerful fire extinguisher. So the same way for those who want to live using the Vedas, this world, they're going to resort to the Upanishads as a bulk, in bulk. But Srila Prabhupada is very intelligent. He didn't give us any Upanishad. He gave us the most devotional Upanishad. Because now let's follow in this analogy. Clearing a path through the flames, is that sufficient in and of itself? Is that sufficient?
No.
It alone will not save you, because you may get out of the fire, but it doesn't mean you're back in the spiritual world. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, Jnana Marg, Jnana Vairagya, cultivated by the impersonalist in the Upanishad, it's only a preliminary. At best, it can clear you a path towards bhakti. Krishna says, Bahunam Jamalmante, Jnanavamam Prapadyate, Vasudeva Savamiti, Samahatma Sudulabha, 719. After millions or thousands of attempts, the Jnani come to me. Vasudeva, he understands, and yes, I'm the last stage. So this person, after many thousands of attempts, he comes to me, Krishna says, 719. It's a long path. So this is the glory of Srila Prabhupada. He gave us the ultimate end of the Vedas. He gave us the Bhakti Shastra. That is why we all of us, we're doing Bhakti Shastra. Why? Because the real purpose is to get out, but to factual safety. You know, you're out of the fire, you're out of the house in flames. Yes, fine. So what? What's next? So that is why Srila Vyasadeva, you know, he put all in Nyaya, Sankhya, moral principles, austerity. It's very attractive from other sections of the Vedas, telling us, get out of here, don't return. But since the Upanishads, again, they have an impersonal slant to it. You may end up into a personal understanding. It's still possible. That is why Srila Vyasadeva, to make sure we get it right, on top of Upanishad and Vedanta Sutra, he compiled out of his own pen with Ganesh, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam to clear away any remaining confusion as to the ultimate purpose of the Vedas. So try to remember this analogy of the fire extinguisher. Yeah. Again, fire extinguisher means the Upanishad, to clear an exit through the flames. We have understood that, yes, we should leave this world, but to leave the world is not enough. We should be aware of what's going on there on the other side. Remember, this world is a reflection of the real world. What is the real world like? For that matter, you need Śri Isopanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. And once you got Bhakti Shastri under your belt, you go for Bhakti Vibhav, Srimad Bhagavatam. Buddhism Prabhu, my Shastra Guru, used to tell me, all these books are meant to pave the way towards Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the personification of Lord Krishna in books. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, even if you remove all the books of this Brahmanda, of this universe, if the Srimad Bhagavatam is still there, there's no loss. So bear in mind, all these books, we're starting off with Śri Isopanishad. We are putting a foot in the door. This is moving towards Srimad Bhagavatam. Śri Isopanishad, Gita, Nectar of Devotion, law book of ISKCON, Nectar of Instruction, how to conduct oneself as a Vaishnava, so we can really relish, enjoy, and dive deep into Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll stop here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask Chandra Prabhu or myself or anyone.
Hare Krishna, I do have a question. Thank you so much. This is so nectarian. I was wondering, why is it that the Mayavads don't accept Smriti?
Yes, very good questions. Everyone heard that question? Because actually I don't get to hear you at all. So I wonder if you, because you, I mean, I heard you, Ariana, but the others, I assume they hear, but I cannot really vouch for it because there is no feedback. I think at this point, Chandra Prabhu, we should perhaps unmute them all, no?
Well, you're just giving the answers, so no, actually, I don't think we should unmute everybody, because the more unmute, the more feedback there is from everybody's microphone. So let's keep it as minimalist as possible.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, because I'm used to hearing, a lot of voices when I teach.
Okay, as you like. I mean, you call the shot on this one if you want.
Sorry, Prabhu?
You want to unmute everyone? You can do that.
Well, I don't know. I just, it's like I'm speaking to a wall or something. So, let's this Mataji, Ariana. Yeah, did you hear the question? Because I want to bounce it off sometime. All of you, these questions are good. Why the impersonalists do not accept Shruti Prashtan? Shruti means, again, written by the sages. They are nirgun, they are beyond the modes, no doubt. But they will say, well, it's human nature to distort things. So to be on the safe side, better we only accept Shruti, Shmuti, and Nyaya Prashna. They cannot reconcile. First of all, the Mayavadis will not consider that the absolute truth is a person. They will consider that the absolute truth is, an energy, Jyoti, Brahman. But they will not consider the absolute truth as a person. So they cannot reconcile the fact that it should not be touched upon, because they consider as soon as it is touched upon, there is distortion, there is alteration, there is transformation, there is degradation. They cannot accept Srimad Bhagavatam, which is their own frailties, if you ask me, but that's their shortcomings, Does it answer, Ariana?
It does. I have a follow-up question, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that's really beautiful, because that speaks to the Mayavad of all of us who don't accept Mayavad from the philosophy, but I hear all the time, especially from, I took philosophy classes in college, and they don't accept any religious texts because of human error. For this exact reason that you speak of. But then how is it that we establish the authority of Shruti for people who are impersonalists but don't accept the Vedas?
Okay. How is it that
usually the impersonalists do accept the Vedas, isn't it?
Well, there's many impersonalists in America.
Oh, you mean modern? When
right.
we say, I think when a lot of time, yeah, it's true. I mean, I think Madhavendra and I were thinking, when you said impersonalists, we're talking about the followers of Advaita Vedanta, those who are within the system of Vedic scriptures, regardless of the school that they belong to. So if you're talking about them as impersonalists, then usually, no, they'll quote the Veda and proudly as perhaps their only source of ultimate authority, but they definitely quote the Vedas. If you're talking about impersonalists in the sort of a modern Western country person who accepts probably no scriptural authority, agnostic, or has no like faith in any type of scriptural system, then where
they are just jokers. If they cannot back up their sayings by any Shastric evidence, then they're not even worth listening to. These New Age people, it's totally absurd and groundless.
Who are you referring to, Ariana? Like the genre of person you're referring to, so we can really criticize them and feel better than them. Tell us.
My original question was for like we'll say proper Mayavads following Advaita Vedanta, but then my follow-up question was for the modern day impersonalists.
And who are they? Like those who claim to follow the Vedas, or are you like who's a modern day impersonalist?
Those who subscribe to the fact that these scriptures that have been compiled by these great personalities, even though they're near guna, they don't accept that because of like human error. So I was kind of posing that question. So how can we, if it's possible, kind of bring them up to at least accepting when it's God himself speaking, like the other Mayavads do, almost like push them a little bit more towards Krishna in that way.
You're asking how?
If you all had any thoughts on that.
Prashadam. I'm not joking. I mean, what's that analogy? That's that story of Prabhupada. Like, I mean, this is like mentioned in Satsrup Maharaj's Lilamrita, or maybe one of those Prabhupada nectar books by Satsrup Maharaj. But we're at some big Pandal program, and I read this. So this is this is not just word of mouth. And so the devotees had cooked some prasadam, and then there were these impersonalists were passing out these impersonalist flyers, and Prabhupada told to distribute the halava on those flyers. So, like, you heard that story, Madhavendra? Did you ever hear that one?
No, I didn't know this.
I promise I heard it somewhere.
Yeah, I read that also.
Right?
And Prabhupada wanted even to use a impersonalist in the service of Krishna.
All right.
And he uses the pamphlet to distribute prasadam at the end of the class.
And then we have the classic example. This is Leela, because we see the four Kumars as liberated souls, but the four Kumaras who went from Brahman realization, or difference between Brahmanandis and Mayavadis is thin, but who came, let's say, to pure devotion, pure theism, by smelling the fragrance of the tulsi leaf, right? So it ultimately it's a question of mercy. I think that there's a verse in the Bhagavatam where, I don't know who's speaking, but it tells the Lord, my Lord, you can only be known to whom you give your mercy, or to whom your devotee gives mercy. So just like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, or Prakashananda Saraswati, they got the mercy. They got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and that's it. They were able to see beyond the impersonalism. So it really has to do with concrete mercy of that personal God, Shri Krishna.
Anyway, right in the beginning of the Śri Isopanishad, we'll come to that next class, or the one after. Srila Prabhupada defines very clearly that it's worthwhile listening to someone who is devoid of all the frailties of human nature, which are 4 in number. Yeah. You know that, right, everyone?
Yeah. Commit mistake.
Yeah. So, those 4 frailties, and it's worthwhile listening to someone who is beyond those 4. Srila Prabhupada is definitely beyond.
Well, speaking of which, we have 4 minutes, so I humbly request that we bring this meeting to an end. Does anybody want to volunteer to just sing the Hare Krishna mantra, and we mute everybody else, and you repeat the mantra in your mind as if someone was there? because again of the lag system. The only way we can have an online kirtan is if the lead singer sings and then repeats in his or her mind the mantra in the same beat while everybody else is muted. So if anyone feels inspired to do that until the end of the hour for 4 or 5 minutes, raise your hand.
I can go for it.
Okay, Ananta Vallabha Prabhu. So we'll mute everybody, and except for Ananta Vallabha Prabhu, and you understood what I meant, right? By doing that.
Yeah. I give a pause like you did.
So you keep the tempo. It's just that you give the response in your own mind, like you sing the response in your own mind. Yeah, and that way we're all on the same page. So Ananta Vallabha is the only one who's muted. Let me just mute everyone. How do I do it here? Mute. Anyway, everyone's muted. Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
You can play the mridanga.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Gaura Premanande.
Haribo. All right, Prabhus. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure being together, and we hope that we can have a good week in Krishna consciousness and meet again next week. And I'll send you, you'll get the first batch of questions. We'll probably do invocation and verse 1. And we'll have another nice session next week. Jai, Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai, first cohort of the English Krishna West Center for Bhagavad Studies, Bhakti Shastri course Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Haribol.